I think it's gone really well. Um, Obviously, the timing of us going to the Bahamas and everything that accompanies a foreign trip these days. You get the 10 documented practices, which it's something that if you don't go on a foreign trip that you can't do. So it's clearly an advantage. But one thing you sense when you're going on this trip and you have the 10 practices, your team knows that you're getting ready to practice. So everything that builds up and leads towards that, which encompasses the entire summer, I think is just more productive, more meaningful. Our team's had a positive edge to us in that, I think to a man, that we've worked hard, we've done a good job in the classroom. All of our players have really invested a lot, both in the weight room and on the court. And I think part of it is, it's that carrot knowing that we're going to practice 10 times and eventually go on this trip to the Bahamas where we have a chance to play games. Continuity is a big thing, and we have the same staff, and terminology is consistent. You have players that are returning. The Richard Jefferson gym is so invaluable to what we do because it's always available, and inside of it, I believe we have the nicest and most productive strength and conditioning facility in the country. And when you're here in the summer as a student athlete, a basketball player, that's a big part of what you're trying to accomplish. I think on several layers, it's very, very beneficial. One is, for example, Jordan Mays and Kevin Parham. You forget how much time last year combined that they both missed. Not just games or weeks of practice during the season, but in Jordan's case, he really missed, in essence, 13 weeks building up to the start of practice in mid-October. Kevin Parham, his situation is well documented. So if you just look at those two guys, although they're returners, they both played in an Elite Eight game, have won a Pac-10 championship a couple years back. It's great for them to practice and be healthy and play and, in a sense, get that head start where they feel healthy and I think get the feel of a game, get the feel of 5-on-5, which you can't do if you don't have the opportunity to have these practices. So, I think a lot of people focus on the freshmen, but it's equally beneficial to the returners, especially those two guys who've gone through so much in the last 12 months. Well, I've had the opportunity to really do it 3 different ways. One as a player, where I went on a Big East team and we were over there for about 2 weeks in Europe. As an assistant coach, we went to Italy for about 14 days. And then as the head coach at Xavier, we actually did an identical trip to the Bahamas, stayed at the Atlantis and did virtually the same thing we're doing this year here at Arizona. So having that experience, I'll tell you that just the travel alone, spending time with each other, being able to be on a trip where although it's about basketball, it's also about the other things. Players learn each other, they know each other. The distance between a freshman and a newcomer and someone like Solomon Hill, who's a senior, it's really closed because they spend more time at a time of year that generally they're not even here on campus. They're all at their different home sites. So no question, I think chemistry. I also think investment. When you practice 10 times and you've given your heart and soul through the summer, you've gone on a trip like that, it's very difficult when the school year begins to feel anything less than we have a head start, let's take advantage of it. We do have depth. I believe there's always a fine line in saying it because all of us are one significant injury away from being a much different team. And one of the things that we dealt with last year is just that. I look at Kevin Parham going down in the month of September and really never coming close to being who we thought he would be as a rising junior. That impacted last year, that alone. So, we all hope for good health, and when it doesn't happen, we have to overcome it. But I do think that from a physical perspective, we're bigger. We have bigger bodies. We have more depth up front. I think the addition of Mark Lyons gives us an additional guard, but it also gives us someone with great experience. So many times you get a transfer or a newcomer, you have to teach them your way. The fact that he knows our way and that he's been in 2 Sweet 16s, I think that we have some components that really could be the makings of something special, something that certainly we can build on last year where we won 23 games yet pulled up short, that we don't want to pull up short this year, and I think we have some things in place that can really help us do that. We have 2 newcomers, Matt Korchak and TJ McConnell, both who won't play this year. TJ is transferring from Duquesne, he has to sit out, but can practice. And Matt Korchak, who we're going to redshirt, and then he'll have 2 to play. And just them alone, practicing competitively against us in those 2 hours, 2.5 hours every day, it just makes for more of a realistic practice, something that's closer to what we face on game day. And the one thing that I will address, I'm not so sure that our starting lineup this year will be consistent. I think part of what we have, especially with good health and continued development, is a number of guys that given in a given week or weeks or in a stretch during the season can go from the first sub to a starter or a starter to the first sub, and we can play that for a lot of reasons, some positive, some as a reminder of how important practice is. But I do believe that that's something that we'll take advantage of, again, if we're able to continue with good health. I think the one thing that we have going for us is, especially the 4 freshmen, that it's very apparent that each of those guys, although they come from different backgrounds, are here for the right reasons. That they want to win, they want to learn, they're willing to learn. They've put a lot of work in throughout the course of the summer with almost no issues. And the issues many times coming from high school to college, lack of responsibility, just unfamiliarity with the work ethic. And we've had almost virtually none of those issues with these guys. And I think that, to me, besides their talent level, is exciting, because when you add those new guys, if you have buy-in from the beginning, it makes life so much easier. It allows our older players to lead them, and it allows chemistry to take place in a real easy way. And that's one thing that so far they've really shown, that to me they're very, very mature beyond their years as a group, and I think that's something we're excited about.